Yeah? Nice.
Sorry.
Oh, man.
So recover from a cool that way.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Manscaping. This is the first time I'm able to say that because we are not changing the name again this week.
About time.
This is also the last episode of our November series where we were just kind of focusing on men's health holistically. So we would have spoken about physical health with George, mental health with Johnny. OG and I just kind of spoke about general health. And today we're gonna be speaking about emotional/relationship health. And we have a guest with us. So this is not George or Johnny. By now you know me and OG. Big man, introduce yourself.
Yeah, well, I am, for those of you who know, I am Harold Raghunandan.
So wait, why would you have to introduce yourself to the people who know?
And for those of you who don't know, I am also Harold Raghunandan.
Right.
I also attend FIT, senior in software engineering, and great friends with these two fine gentlemen here.
Sure. Also today, we have, a kind of bingo where you have 3 in a row because all 3 of us, for the most part, kind of grew up in Trinidad and Tobago. So we're going to probably be speaking a lot more slang than usual today. So forgive us. If you don't understand anything, be sure to ask in the comments.
Tough luck.
No, OG. Inclusion, ask in the comments and we translate.
OG. Come on. Anyway, so before we get into it, in terms of your experience with the whole Movember thing, because strangely enough, the person that introduced me to the whole Movember thing was Harold.
Likewise.
Right. So this guy here is responsible for the whole thing, basically, because if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't know about it. We wouldn't be doing that kind of thing. But how did you kind of find out about Movember?
Well, also strangely enough, because of the likes of Johnny, who we would have had on the podcast last week, he really brought Movember to the forefront of FIT. I would like to believe it was last year, but it could have been from before. And I really admire the effort he put into it at the beginning because the awareness that Movember has now on campus is not as big as it was a year or 2 ago. But when it just started, it was just like him, a couple of the other guys, maybe Demetrios, Trey, a lot of the Dell guys. But now it's grown to a much wider community where everyone with the Movember mustaches and all these things. And I really admire the effort he was putting into this. I didn't really know what it was. I just saw that he always posting. Yeah. And that got me really engaged to think, if he is really passionate about this, then it really must mean something. And that's how I started learning more about it and I joined the movement. And this year, when I had the opportunity of Messiah being here as well, I was like, you know what? This is something he would appreciate too, this sort of movement. And that's why I told him early on, I told him about this right as he came. So that would have been beginning of October.
Yeah.
And for a whole month, we were just preempting it. Movember,
Yeah.
And I know once I pass it off to these men here, they would take it and run with it. And so said, so done.
Big facts. Well, today we're going to be talking about emotional and relationship health in terms of men having healthy relationships. And we kind of want to focus a little bit on men having healthy relationships with men, not in a sexual way.
OG.
Oh, my name reaching.
That's an episode for another time.
That's an episode for no time. No time.
Yeah, you can stay in the closet. But
wait. Oh. What can I tell you that way?
No, we're not talking about that now. In a platonic way, Intimate relationships, but not in a sexual way. I guess we will come back to the 2 of us in a little bit, but let's talk about your relationship with OG in terms of how you met him.
Let me. Who should tell the story though?
Let me finish.
Well, OG, you go.
No.
OG, you can tell the story because
honestly, I might mess it up.
No, well,
because I'll probably forget some important detail.
No, well, all stories are 3 pieces, right?
That's what your side, the other side, and the truth. Yeah.
So start with your side.
I just always forget stuff. So
that better because let me hear what you have, and then he will fill in the gaps.
Okay, so my perspective of the story is, right, I actually met the first Trinidadian I ever met here, like, and started talking to was Sarah, right? And for those who
Which
don't
Sarah?
know,
Sarah
Sarah Ali. For those who don't know, Sarah is another friend of
She
ours.
whole government name out on YouTube, yeah?
sorry, Sarah. We can bleep it out if we have to. But yeah, I met her, and she was like, "Hey, you a Trini?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she's like, "Yo, let's have some other Trinis here." I was like, "Cool, carry me to them." So we went into PDH, and at the table was this man here. He was much smaller than he is right now. Right?
Much smaller?
Yeah,
Much smaller again, you
like
want me,
a
boy?
completely different fella, dog. He and two other people who are friends of ours right now. I'm not gonna call their name.
So you put Sarah out there.
I learned from my mistakes, dog. But yeah, and I think he had asked him a name, boy, and I was like, OG. And Harold being the jokester, immediately just start laughing. Right? And I just didn't understand, like, what is man really laughing at? It's like, so me really studying that, whatever, and I guess it probably have a detail after that I'm missing out. But after that, you know, we started liming and thing, and you know, and the friendship just carry on from there. And like, you know, now he's one of my closest friends, you know, not just here, but in general, right? So I don't know what I know I'm missing that detail, dog. So yeah.
Well, actually, that was pretty much the story. It's just that from my perspective, it would be different. So as he mentioned, we used to line with, it used to be me, Sarah, David, who we afraid to call. Three we used to line, and Julia as well. But
I don't remember Julie.
first week of school, Sarah, while we in PDH, Sarah say she meets a new Trini. Now, we now start school, so if you hear you meet a new Trini, I'm like, all right.
That's a big thing, yeah.
So I say, what's his name? Or I say, who's the Trini? And she say, his name is OG. I was like, Sarah, you can't be serious. I was like, you can't be serious, understand? The whole week we building real kicks, and then for you to come and tell me you meet a man named OG. So now that's where his story coming. He come in PDH, and I was like, I say, oh, you know what? I'm a fan of for myself. I say, what's the name? He say, OG. At that point, it's like,
man started to laugh, he and David and Justin.
no, we real laugh though.
And watch, actually, when you introduce yourself to me, you didn't introduce yourself as Harold. Man say name is Sachin.
I mean, that's my name.
I was like, all right, cool. But why you just do that actually? Like,
you need to understand, prior to me coming here, most people back home just call me Sachin. It's just how I come here now. It's like, I might as well introduce as my Harold, you know, because that's what all my ID, everything. But since I was the first week of school, I was still accustomed to telling people I Sachin. Everybody back home does more or less call me that.
That's just like me introducing myself as Messiah.
Messiah.
Yeah, because that's what people call me.
Exactly.
My first name and stuff. But alright, cool.
Yeah, but then I mean, after that, back then OG was really the only person in the group, but I can't now, boy. So anyway, we want to go.
so that's what I
Friendship
was
of
saying for, dog.
He was a car
That's
man.
He was the car man in the group now, boy.
That's what I was saying for, boy.
You know? No, obviously I don't mean it like that, but it's like that's how the
No, but that's how it started. That's how it started.
that's how the friendship would have grow, you know, from there. Anyway, we go and, you know, OG carrying we.
Yeah.
That time they used to invite me to the you know, to line with them plenty too.
Yeah.
And you know, these
I guess that's how it flourished over the past few years. Like the relationships just build, and it's like you don't realize until they sit down in a setting like this to
And look
analyze
back at it, yeah.
But yeah.
No, I know as well, the thing that starts a friendship is, or most times, it's not the thing that maintains a friendship. And, well, the first time I met OG, which was about 3 years ago, and the way he was always around, but it was a group of people. Now, I mean, the only person from the group who's still around is OG, you know? So OG's still around. Why? Like, what about OG? Or what about Harold that you still here, you know? What has contributed to maintaining the relationship?
you want to go or you want me to go?
Yeah, while I have the thoughts, so showing up is a big thing. OG does always show up, you know, like if his showing up would outweigh anyone else, and not just showing up, but consistency as a friend, you know, in terms of, well, one, not forgetting where we come from, two, you know, you could count on him, and the reason why he would would have made it, not through the cracks, but made it survive. He would have survived is because his consistency and showing up and reliability would have outweighed the rest, you know?
Yeah. I think for men, that's really important in terms of knowing that you could count on somebody to be there.
And it's the same answer for me. Like, after a certain while, and you know, no knock on, you know, everybody else, but like when you, as time pass and, you know, you weed out certain people and whatnot, you know, just grow apart naturally. You're left with, you know, seeing, okay, who here, right? And he was there. So, you know, that, you know, showed me that, yeah, for the same very reason I could count on him, you know, and, you know, we had that, you know, build that relationship from there. I would say consistency is probably the main thing, like.
Yeah. Well, as a kind of, you know, objective external third party, if I had to comment on the relationship between the two of you, I would honestly say Harold adopt OG. You know? No, because that's what it feels like to me, because anytime we size up ourselves to go and do something, it's a matter of, you know, well, call OG and see what he's saying, you know, that kind of thing.
Because I just never really
like a kind of godfather kind of thing. That
yeah, like
more like a big brother kind of scene. Like
big
that's
bro.
because I not really, like, I was never really in the scene now, but I was always
an outlier.
Outlier. So he would always
on the outskirts.
on the outskirts. So he always wrote me in, but kind of try to kind of include me and stuff now. But I'm like, he was the main reason why I end up, you know, doing res life and sleeping on campus. So like, that type of scene now, but always, you know, trying to include me and stuff. And like, naturally, I'm very introverted. Like I do, you know, I'm not really into the crowds and like liming too much. And if I line, you realize somebody always had a beg, mother. It's because
yeah, boy.
You know, like that's just not me. But you had to do it. You know, you had to be social.
Yeah, but I mean the social aspect, but also like in terms of productivity, I also recognize, you know, Harold also pushing OG in other ways as well. So it's like, it's obviously a healthy relationship. You know, one that contributing to your growth and thing. I don't know if you see it that way, but that's how I see it.
Yeah, that's true.
If you had to comment on his and my relationship now, how would you describe it?
Well, to be honest, I only get to really experience both of you interacting with each other. Like now, I would say very similar, right? Like I could see a lot of how he is the way he is because of how you are, and vice versa. Now, like
two people
you all have the same messed up sense of humor, right? Both all are very risky people, like risk takers. Like these men just do anything. I would say Messiah more risky than Harold though. Harold is a little more risky now, boy. Messiah's Harold might think twice every now and then when they get too real. Right? But both all like it's funny to see though. Like
there's a reason why it has to appear like that. There's a reason, but yeah.
Because of the setting.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But yeah. So let's talk about it. Harold and Messiah. I've known Harold since, was that 2010?
Yeah. September 6, 2010.
Wow. Yeah, because that was the first day of school.
Yeah.
So that's 2010 to 2021. Wow.
11 years.
That's crazy. Well, it would be 11 years and about a month or two. But yeah, that's besides the point. From the first day that I met Harold, we kind of click. I mean, it's almost like, you know, a movie where the boy and the girl see each other for the first time and immediately it's a thing. Except not in that way. Nothing that way.
Love at first sight.
I mean, a different kind of love at first sight for sure. But Harold talked to me first. He come and he asked me about a girl who went to primary school with me, who we also knew because she lived in his neighborhood. So she was the catalyst, you know?
So
but
ground.
I mean, no, it's but yeah. And then after that, we started to realize that we have so many things in common because we were both born in Guyana, and our family as well, and then we both living in Trinidad, and then we had a lot of similar interests, and then we, like the way we process things, the way we thought about things was very similar. So much so that up until today, I can't remember, and the reason I can't remember is because it has never happened. Any instance where we disagreed on something to the point of having to argue about it, to say we fall out and thing. Because through high school, I would have had other friends and we fall out and fall off, but Harald's still here,
Well, it's crazy to think because I just always think about it too. Like even with friends who like we say, still friends with right now, like we say 5 years, 4 years, I would have had those big disagreements where it reached our fallout stage. I mean, we still end up back friends, but the instance of those things happened.
Yeah.
But in this situation, it never happened. And it's not to say it's like a platonic friendship. It's not surface level. It's way beneath the surface.
Yeah, like where you get to those places where you have more opportunities to disagree on things.
Exactly.
But it's just we never get to that place.
And it's not to say that we is the same person in terms of we agree on everything.
No, because we have differences for sure.
Correct.
We do disagree. But I feel like we're just so understanding when it comes to each other that even when we do disagree, we could agree to disagree, in a healthy way.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Accepting difference in opinions in a way. Not just attacking it.
In terms of men being able to formulate those types of relationships, right? Well, number one, do you think that is healthy? Do you think that it makes sense for men to have male friends? Because I know, like, when men started getting into relationships, their significant other of the opposite gender would have a problem with them having best friends of the same gender, as in female best friends for men now. You can't have female best friends.
Okay.
So in those cases, the woman in your life will be more ready to accept you having a male best friend. But I find a lot of fellas who have a lot of female friends, or their best friend is a female, So what do you think would be the differences in terms of men having female friends versus having male friends? Of course, the first one being, for most men, having a female friend leads to it becoming more than a friendship in most cases and complicating the whole friendship. And I'm pretty sure you've had those experiences. It's a very thin line and easy to cross.
Exactly. Well, you could touch on that and I could touch after.
Well, I would say just having a male friend, like nothing wrong with having a female best friend, right? But you should have some male friends.
Wait, just now. So let me take that statement. Nothing is wrong with having a female best friend.
I don't think anything is wrong with that, right? If you're just talking surface level best friend, somebody who understands you.
Well, that's a contradiction right there. You can't have a surface level best friend.
Well, when I say surface level, I mean like she will be able to understand you as a person, not really as a guy. Like, well, let me finish my point, right? So you have a best friend, and if she's a female, then cool, right? But you should have some male best friends. Reason being, I think, is that when it has certain things, right, only guys could understand. And like, yeah, cool, they could have a female best friend, but certain things she wouldn't be able to understand because she's not
like what it's like to take that first pee in the morning. No, she just wouldn't be able to. Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to relate on that level of like men and men, right? So it's important to have like people of the same gender within your corner, because it has certain things that you go through as a guy that females would never understand, and vice versa, right? And when you reach that point and you reach those struggles, like who you're going to go to? You're going to go to your female best friend. Like she's not gonna be able to tell you the best advice, right?
Yeah.
To go to a guy best friend who either went through it already, right, or going through it at the same time, right? So you'll be able to relate on that level.
For sure.
I would say, well, first of all, I would say that I could speak on the male best, not just male, let me not get to male best friends yet, but in terms of having male friends, a male friend group, it's very important for, I would say, a young man, simply because you need to, masculinity is a real thing, right? If you read, in history and, the evolution of the masculinity theory and feminine theory, you need to associate yourselves with other, not necessarily like-minded, but grounded men, because that is good for your development as a man, you understand? When you associate yourself with men who have the head and the shoulders, focus, not mean like serious, but like, they know what they're about. Like you would see impacts of it on your life. Likewise, I know this is not to bash any guy who has primarily female friends, only female friends, but if you if as a guy you just have only female friends and no real male friend group, then you're missing out. That's all I say. You're missing out on the effects of your personal development as a man with having grounded male friends. You need to surround yourself with that masculinity because it will build up yours. In terms of best friends, I would say it's optional simply because I mean it's really it could take the average person a lot of energy to invest into a best friend, and it could also be a hit or miss. But in my case, I got really lucky. I would say that because like I feel like because I had real other potential friends I say come through the crack that could be like best friends, but because certain things come up and it's not like it was a test, but certain things reveal the true character.
Just life happening, you know.
And I'm like, I get real lucky with Messiah because I feel like after 11 years, nothing changed. You know, after 11 years, it's like.
Has there been any moments where your guys' friendship was been like tested? Nothing.
You see, Ochi, that's the thing. You would think in 11 years, the obvious answer would be yes.
No, well, it doesn't have to be within 11 years, but I'm just saying, like, in general, you think...
No, when I say... I don't mean to say that as friends within the relationship, we haven't dealt with difficult circumstances. You know? We had a major debt between us in terms of a friend of ours from secondary school that we would have had to deal with. We had our fair share of heartbreaks between us as well. That whole thing of him moving away to study and me being back home, and so the distance, that long distance friendship situation as well. We've lived together for extended periods of time, like, so, you know, you get to have to deal with, you know, if a person don't wash the dishes, or if they just leave their clothes all over, or if they just sleep in when you want to wake up and go and do stuff. And so, like, you've had to deal with all that stuff. But none of it has been hard to deal with, at least between us now, boy. And like you said, I feel like we get extremely lucky in that regard that we found each other in that way. I don't know.
Yeah, because like, as he mentioned, and you would think after 11 years, the obvious answer is yes, but the answer is actually no. You know, the answer is actually no. And to re-emphasize, it's not a friendship where it's just two friends. It's like depths, you know, depths of this friendship.
Layers.
Like layers that, you know, we still probably never even get to talk about unless it's really important. You know?
And so, and it's not to say I just agree with everything he says or he just agrees with everything I say. Like, I take the role very seriously. You know, well, just come back a little bit. We were speaking about having male friends versus having female friends.
Right.
And to push your point a little bit further, I would want to say 8 to 9 out of 10 times, this is not tested statistics, this is just me throwing out an opinion here. I feel like you will be able to look at a guy and say, okay, yeah, he probably has predominantly female friends. Or, nah, he probably has predominantly male friends. Because it shows in thought patterns, but also characteristics.
Mannerisms, you know.
Mannerisms,
your talk.
Your aura.
Yeah.
And not while you're probably getting ready to cancel me for this. I mean, there's a lot of sayings in terms of, you know, if you line with 9 billionaires, you'll be the 10th one.
That's true.
So, I mean, if you line with 9 girls, you obviously ain't going to be the 10th girl, but you will start to show certain female tendencies.
Exactly,
you know?
But the truth of the matter is if you line with 9 billionaires, you will be the 10th one.
Yeah.
You know, like, it is pretty much inevitable.
And then this is just a question of nature versus nurture in terms of just not simply because you're a man, I put you in any circumstances and you will just continue to be the man you always were. The environment you're in will also shape you.
Let me touch on that. That, for me, is a very, very major thing for young men, right? Not just finding a male friend group, but a productive male friend group that will help you grow. I'm a firm believer that circumstances truly make you who you are. And if you, depending on where you... that's real talk, dog. Depending on, you know, where you grew up, or maybe say you grew up in a place that, you know, tough and like plenty
Los
violence
Bajos.
and something. You're going to develop certain mentalities and think certain ways, and it's the same as if you're aligned with certain people, right? You're going to start to think like them, right? And I would say I was very lucky that throughout my life, I was able to put myself, sometimes it was by chance, but I was always able to find myself in groups, right, that uplift me, right? Whether it was in secondary school or in college, like I was never around bad crowds. You understand? And that is how men will grow. You have to put yourself in the right crowd. And your parents will tell you that for years, and you always ignore them like, what bullshit she talking? I can do whatever I want. But that's true talk, though. That's what you should do, right? And people who don't do that, I keep seeing it all the time, right? Like I just had an incident where a family member of mine is in jail now, right? And I know it's because of the crowd he was in, because he wasn't always that way. Right, he was with a certain crowd and he was good, and he shifted to a new crowd that led him down the wrong path, right? And now he's where he is now, and I've seen it multiple times where fellas fall into the wrong crowd and then they end up robbing people, and like some of them die and all kind of craziness, and it's like could have been me.
Right.
Understand?
No, but that's a good point too, OG. And it don't even have to get to the point of robbing or killing, and it could be simple in terms of you might see things in your schoolwork. You might just see it in your general
little things you
demeanor,
take for granted.
That's like, you might become a little bit lazier, or you might become a bit more productive. Like the people around you really influence some of the choices you decide to make.
Because if you in a group that's going down a certain path, you don't want to be left behind.
Yeah,
you want to keep going on the same trajectory as them, right? And trying to keep up. Like that's a good thing. Healthy competition. Right? There's nothing wrong with it now, baby.
Keep up.
OG,
how could you identify then? Or I guess I throw this question out to everybody. How could you identify those productive species or those productive men? How could a young boy or a man look at another guy and say, yeah, he'll be a good influence, or no, I should stay away from this guy?
First of all, you have to know your priorities, right? Have a goal. Like when I came in here to FIT, my goal was to get my degree, get a job here, and I was willing to do what I had to do to get it. I already was of the mindset to.
And what if you don't have that stuff figured out?
You just have to know yourself. Like, there must be certain things, and you must have certain morals and like values that parents instill with you over the years, right? You must have that, and all you have to do at that point is just find people that align with that type of thinking, like that type of morals. Like if you was a church going person, right? And you grew up like that, try to find some people who, just like you, going to church and on the righteous path and whatnot, right? Relatively, that's how you should look for friends, right? And, sometimes friends might come in your circle and thing, and, you never really ask for that, but like, that doesn't mean there's a good influence on you. You have to know that too, right? If they're not a good influence on you, right? Just being self-aware, right? Will help with, not picking up bad habits from them, right? And vice versa. If you find somebody who's productive, right? Just have that self-awareness, like, oh, he's real productive. Like I could learn something from watching him, and just try to, move with that and pick up habits from that.
Well, OG made a couple good points there that I'll go a little deeper on. But disclaimer though, like I know you mentioned goals and stuff, and recently my whole perspective about that changed, about having goals. I won't get into it, but
oh wait, why?
No, okay. But after I make the point though, but you said to answer Messiah's question, you said having goals, and that's the beginning, because the powerful thing about having goals in identifying what person would be, helpful for you is that, and another good thing you mentioned is in terms of aligning, right? For me, if I have something I'm working towards, over the past few years, I've always looked for a moral compass related to that specific thing. So I'll start with going to high school in Trinidad, working towards a scholarship. I used to look up to men who already achieved that, and actually reach out to them, talk to them, ask them, well, what was your work ethic? Because he or she would have accomplished the very said thing that I want. Right. You understand? And if they could do it, I could do it. You understand? Especially all thing not considering external circumstances, we have the same opportunities to do it, the same chance. And then I would accomplish that and then move on to the next thing. Before I came up here to do software engineering, I used to do law in UE. And there was only one student in the history of that LLB class that ever got all A pluses in one semester. And I was like, I want to do that. So I reached out to the guy and I was like, well, what did you do?
I think
What was
it's about the man who was in the papers.
Exactly. And I asked him about his work ethic, because I wanted to do that. But unfortunately, I didn't finish the semester, but I was on track to do it. Same thing here now. I mean, most of the things that I accomplish now or do now is because I found someone who would have accomplished that, and I would have, because the thing is, they could accomplish these things and still be a completely bad person. But I got the part from them that was helpful and beneficial to me, because at the end of the day, they still accomplish what I want to accomplish.
And not just, even if you see their part, right? That part they took might not be the best for you. Also realizing that, this is the blueprint they set, right? How I could take that blueprint now
And apply it to myself.
Apply it to my own situation, because what might work for you probably wouldn't work for me. Like that fella you was talking about who get all A's in law school, he was a die-hard partier, right?
Exactly.
And we had this disagreement, yo, I can't do that. Like if I start partying, my grades going to start slipping down, right? So it's just, you can't be like the person you set out to be all the time, but you could take example, right, and just apply it to your situation now.
Okay. Those are all some great points, right? And I think they apply in ideal circumstances. So if I know this is what I want to do, then that will work. But in instances when you don't know what you want to do, it will be a lot more difficult, because if I don't know I want to get a scholarship or I want to get all A's, or then I don't know who I'm looking for. But I think you said in terms of looking for a moral compass. Now, while you might not know ultimately where you want to end up in life, you might not have a goal, and it might not be necessary for you to have a goal. OG said, you don't know yourself. You will know yourself. You would generally know I'm introverted or I'm extroverted. I like pineapples on my pizza, or I don't. Stuff like this. I don't mind speaking up for myself. I could debate, or certain stuff you will know about yourself based on past experiences. If you find persons who, they don't have to share those same attributes, but they appreciate it. Because not always the people that contribute to your growth will be similar to you. They might be very different, And in terms of Harold and I, we had some fundamental differences that eventually became more similarities than differences. But those things were not off-putting to me, because I've always been, more or less self-aware. But I understood that I shouldn't be averse to welcoming differences in my life. And then, at that point in time, as self-aware as I was kind of lost. I was figuring out a lot of stuff. I hated school, and I always tell the people around me, school was made for people like Harold, because he will flourish as he has, But a man like me, I struggle because I did not want to be in that place, And so, I mean, like sometimes he would be studying, or I would just see in terms of the work that he puts in and the results that came from that. And I know that's not where I am at. That's not the kind of stuff I am doing,
No, but the base level thing is the work ethic, right? Once you realize that.
Right. And that carries. So even though I might not have been a person that into the school thing, there are other areas in my life where I have the drive and the passion, and I'm going to find a way to get things done. And that is the connection there. So his thing is, achieving this scholarship, he's going to find a way to get that done. If mine was, videography or pan or drama or whatever it was, I'm going to find a way to get this done, because our school didn't have a drama club or anything. I was real into drama. I find myself at secondary school drama festival with another school. That's unheard of.
Damn,
OG,
what?
that don't happen. You
That is-
cannot.
No, I know. Yeah.
But I found a way. And that's where the similarity is. It's a more fundamental, that might be harder to recognize.
Right.
That we are similar in this way because on the surface it manifests in different ways. And so, in terms of finding the people that you should be around, you had to an extent know yourself. But those people have to cultivate a space where you could feel good about being yourself. That doesn't necessarily mean that they have to be similar to you. And in some ways, it might make you feel uncomfortable because growth is uncomfortable. But at the end of the day, you're not going to feel like I hate myself being around these people. You shouldn't. You shouldn't feel that way.
I think it's have three main things, right, that will help you grow as a person. That's hard work, perseverance, and determination.
That's the same thing 3 times.
No.
That answer was real cute. Hard
What's
work.
this, Miss Will?
Hard work, right?
Hard work, perseverance, and determination.
Hard work and determination, kind of not the same thing.
Determination and perseverance, what's the difference?
Determination and perseverance. When you're determined to do something, it get done anyhow. When you persevere, right?
Okay, done anyhow. Dog, you're just you're giving me the same thing in 2 flavors.
All right. Whatever. Well, let me just say hard work and perseverance, right? That's
Okay.
right. And for me, when I just know that those are 2 things that I needed, right, to be great at whatever I choose to do, right? So when I seeking for friends or whatever, if I realize you don't have that basic, you don't have that kind of basic quality, dog, like you don't work hard for nothing, right? You don't persevere through nothing, like you just give up when shit get hard, right? Then, you know, I not really gonna look to you for anything now, but
But do
like,
you see those qualities in yourself?
hell yeah. Like, dog, the people in the room, you could testify to that. Like, I don't really give up easy, dog.
Dog, you never ride the skateboard.
Yeah, but no, that different. Like, that's just knowing yourself and knowing that, yeah, this is not for me. But in terms of, like, let me see, what's our situation where I real persevere, dog? Okay. when I was moving out to come here, right? You know the situation, right? You know the situation too, Messiah. Like what ended up happening now, boy. I'm like, you know, and through that time I could have said, boy, fuck this, I mean, go back.
Fair enough.
That's a good point.
Right? I was like, yo, let me just, you know, this area.
It's worth it,
Yeah,
you know?
boy. I spent a bunch of shit ton of money on, like, I had no money, broke, whatever. I was like, nah, must have one thing I actually pick up from you is the attitude of thinking that you'll always have a way
Always have a
to
way, dog.
work out something. Like,
Always have a way.
always have a way, dog. Like, that is one thing I was never like that, dog. Like, now, whenever, you know, stuff feeling like hopeless and your thoughts convoluted, I just bring back myself to like, yo, must have a way to figure this out. Like, and you just lay out your options now, but you know, when you lay out your options and you realize, oh, this, and this can't work, oh, let me try this, right? It does make things easier, so.
And that's the next thing with having friends and, if you're lucky like me, a best friend who have that same mindset. Because with me now, like how Messiah here, if anything happen, I just be more relaxed than, I usually be relaxed, but I'll be more relaxed as I know he's share the same mindset that, things don't work out. You know, like if we, like we say, we go out this weekend and we get stranded in our next state or something.
Great kills.
I'm like the average person would be freaking out.
We freaking out.
You know, like let me say and I don't mean like no kind of adventure thing. Let me say we stranded, no money, no phone, no nothing. The average man go freak out, but when you know you have that non-scarcity mindset, good to go.
Yeah.
That was me 2 years ago. 2 years ago, if I get stranded in an airport, I might have be panicking.
Exactly.
On a real.
Now, let me take a big segue, almost semen retention level segue. And let me go to something a little bit more on the emotional side, because Harold and I would have gone through an experience where, well, I think it would have been one of the low lights of his life in terms of like when he would have been like closer to the low end. That is the birthday thing in the parking lot when he was making laps somewhere. But even at that point, I don't know if I'm not remembering it correctly, but even at that point, you know, I don't recall pulling you square and saying, Harold, if anything happened, I just want you to know I love you. Like those words. And I don't remember any other point in our relationship where, as a friend to another friend, we would have just turned around and just tell each other we love each other, you know? And I mean, that's not surprising because as men, you know, that's out of the norm. Now, in terms of the relationships with the other men in your life or the other male figures in your life and those words, I love you, how often does that come? Like, does that feel weird? Do you say it? Do you hear it? Like, what's that like?
Yo, I feel like it have, you know, two different contexts. The first context is if all of we linemen and man, you know, a little bit intoxicated, you know, man, give you like, I love you, dog, that kind of thing. So that's one context, but I think the context we're referring to here is
sober-minded.
Sober-minded, you know, vigilant. Yo, I love you, you know, that kind of thing. That's a good question, and as you mentioned, it's not surprising that it's not a common thing. It's just lacking, and I don't want to be that guy who, or and in my life is different. You know, I'm different. I say those things, or those things are said to me. I'm literally one of these statistics where I don't exercise that, and neither is it exercise on me on a very frequent basis. I don't know about you, OG.
I would say it's the same, you know, but like I don't really, when it comes to like guys, I don't really take it that personal though, because
No, when we say guys, family included. You know?
family
included,
but like male figures in general, right? If my thing for me is like you don't have to tell me you love me or you care about me. My thing is your actions. Right? If you could show that love, right? I rather you show it to me than you tell me now. But obviously, I'll appreciate it if you tell me, right? But to me, telling me is just should be like a reaffirmation at that point.
Yeah.
Right. Initially, I want to see it. Right. So, for example, you know, I can't recall any point in time when my father explicitly tell me, "Hey, son, I love you." Right. I never hold it against him because he always showed that love by providing and just being there for me when I needed him.
But do you think that example, in terms of not hearing it or him not saying it, has led you to not necessarily feel comfortable saying it?
I could say it to who though?
To your father?
To my father?
To your best friend? To whoever?
Could you look your father in the eye?
I could
sober and say that?
I could say it
And mean
because
it?
And would it feel weird?
it would definitely feel uncomfortable. It's something you never do, right? But it's not to say I can't do it. Reason being is, I grew up very different to my father. My father grew up, you know, that long time mentality now, but like,
We'll see.
yeah, real dog. All they know dog, like that long time mentality. You know, you don't tell no man you love them. You know. Don't be holding my hand. Like, that kind of thing now.
Very conservative and homophobic.
Yeah. So, but I know like that now, but I kind of, you know, I feel it also have to do with the generation we into, like Gen Zs. Like, we just different for us now, but we not like them. Them is baby boomers, them.
No, but also the cultural perspective of it, because in the Caribbean, we have I mean, it's on the decline, but a highly homophobic culture. So, for a man to tell a man you love him and hold hand and hug and thing, where it's cool if women do it, you know, we'll understand, yeah, they're friends. But when a man do it, a batty boy, you know what I mean? Like, chichi man, we didn't, don't do that.
Well, in Ghana, it's called an anti-man.
Anti-man, which is just anti-man, which is the opposite of man. But yeah, do you think it would be helpful for men to tell each other that they love them more often?
Yeah.
What would be the benefit in that though?
Yeah. Because I could put the argument that I've made it this far without that. You know?
True.
So,
I don't know, bro. I feel like it's different. It's not like nothing bad will happen if we don't. If they don't tell you they love you. But it's like, as a man, dog, you kind of learn to, you know, persevere without receiving that love from the world now. But, you know, if the world ain't giving you love, we are taught to just suck it up and keep pushing.
Yeah, and that's why I think we should. That's why I think we should, because the fact that, you would say, I've made it this far without it, it kind of normalizes the idea that it is okay. If I don't get affection from the world, or if the world shows me that it doesn't love me, or it does not show me that it loves me, that is okay. But it's not okay. And we need to create a society where men could understand that it's okay to feel like you need to be shown love. That's fine. I feel like it would also help in terms of men's, relationship with females, because females, more often than not, are a little bit more openly emotional.
And vulnerable.
Yes. But for men, those things don't come as naturally. And it has to do with our experiences and what we've been taught and what we see.
That, and when it comes to, we've been taught when we show our emotions, right? Most of the time, they are not reciprocated or taken within the best light, right? A couple of weeks ago, you were telling me, if I see a fella crying
you laugh.
on the road, right? I might not laugh, at him right
You laugh when I tell you.
In my head, I'll be like, man crying, big man like you. Like they always say, what do they say? Bad man do cry.
Yeah.
Right? No man do cry.
Big man like you
Big
crying.
man like you crying. Like, that kind of, because when I was young, I was a real crybaby, dog. So I used to always get trouble for that now, but, for crying easily. Right? So
you
grew
want something to cry for?
Yeah, but you want something to cry for? So you grew up with that mental block now, but so when you're in a relationship with a girl now, and she, one of the issues all they have in your relationship is that you're not showing any type of
emotionally available.
type of, that is the reason. Because when we show emotion, straight back in my face, right? That that's first of all, you're not creating a space where I could be emotional, right? And then when I finally do it, you're not receiving
you're not appreciating,
right? You're not appreciating just me being honest and vulnerable with you now, and that's just the tragedy of manhood, right? There's nothing, that's just how it is, though. Like, hopefully it could change. I don't see it changing anytime soon. Just had to.
I mean, I've always tried, at least in our relationship, when emotional topics come up, I've tried not to laugh it off or treat it as a joke. So, I remember in high school, the whole singing in the shower, that song, and the situation associated with it.
Yeah.
When you brought that to me, there's a healthy amount of clung in the situation, but also allowing you to say, this is how I felt. I really felt strong emotions, and this is how I feel now. And me just letting you know that's okay, and it's okay to feel those things. It was really, I don't know, it's God that I was that kind of person.
True.
While you were at that kind of place. And then similarly, that other low light that I mentioned before, which you could share the details of if you choose to or not. Like, rather than saying, dog, relax yourself, like actually allowing this space for you to express this is how you feel right now, and me validating it's perfectly okay for you to feel like that right now.
And then, really was lucky to meet a man like you.
That's what I keep saying.
Because that type of situation, I could see, depending on who it is, a man might just, brush like, but you playing dog, relax yourself.
Exactly. No, and the thing is, right? And once again, I will say, I lucky. And I honestly wish other people could be lucky like me. Like, no kind of clone thing, because the value that it brings to your life, you can't place any price on that value, And another good thing with knowing the person who you have another good thing with having proper friendships, especially male friendships, is that you all know when to draw the line. So this whole thing with the shower by Becky G, we know the seriousness about it, but we know where we could draw the line and joke about it.
Yeah.
So like we actively know that we know when to draw the line. So I have no kind of offense being felt, But the situation you're talking about there was back in 2018.
Story time.
For my birthday that year, And another thing he didn't mention that we found out we had in common was that we were born 2 days apart,
Oh, weird.
He's the 13th of March and I'm the 15th. Same year.
I am the older one.
Yeah, 2 days, but yeah, respect your elders. But yeah, so for our birthday in 2018, so I still would have been living in Trinidad because I didn't move here till August 2018. And the night of my birthday, we were at Urban Grounds. So for the Trinidadian viewers, you all know what Urban Grounds is. And the night before, we would have stayed in Radisson Hotel.
Oh, that was good.
You know, it was real good. We live in the pool, whatever. But that whole weekend, I was just drinking real Hennessy. You know, like as a man, I like Hennessy. I ain't gonna lie, you know. Hennessy, day in, day out, going to Urban Grounds.
Side note, my first experience with alcohol was from Harold.
Yeah.
It seems stereotypical but yeah.
Yeah. I mean, fair enough. So, fast forward now to Urban Grounds in night, still drinking, and then I would have started to smoke that night too, you know, marijuana. And so it was, so picture this, I've been drinking all this Hennessy, started smoking marijuana, and then on top of that, I started eating edibles, you know. Like King Julian bring edibles, and I'm like, you know, I might as well. And then on top of that, I started chasing the Hennessy with Red Bull. So all of that in one, and I'm feeling nice. That's all I'm feeling nice. So all I remember is we were all lying in the parking lot, and then I left the entire group to go back in Urban Grounds to buy something. I think it was a snack. While waiting at the counter for the snack, I don't know how to describe it, and I know the difference now between paranoia when you take these substances and other
Actually feeling something,
like
yeah.
actually feeling something. And in the beginning, I was like, all right, this is the paranoia stage. But after a while, there were actual physical interruptions, you know, starting to happen in terms of breathing, in terms of not being able to see, all these things. And I don't know, obviously I don't know what it would feel like if you're about to die. But how I was feeling, I know something definitely
Something
not
wrong.
right, something wrong,
Yeah,
you know? And I told the bartender, I was like, forget this snack. I need you to bring me a bowl of the coldest water you have. Because I feel like my whole thing is, if you're feeling anything, you splash yourself with cold water, you will wake up.
And you fix one time.
And you bring it, and I do that, and nothing happened. And when I stumbled out of the bar, the first person I saw was this man in the middle of everything. I was like, how lucky am I again? Because I leave them real far.
My side of the story. So we lime in, as he said. We lime in, and then he disappeared. Like, I don't know if you know how long he was gone for, but to me, it seemed like long enough to be longer than it should be.
And for me, it felt like I just left for a few seconds.
Yeah, there's also feel like that when you're high.
Yeah, so when I recognize, I say, let me go and look for this man, oh boy. So I started to walk to head inside, and then same time he was coming outside. And he see me and I see him. It's like, what's going on, right?
Yeah, he was just like, yo. And I was like, oh my God. This, like, how lucky could I be? Because, like, in that situation, the first person I want to see is this man. But I just couldn't pull myself together to go and do it. Understand? Because I was just literally about to pass out.
Yeah.
And then after that now, so what he was more referring to is I was just trying to, like, I started to give all the confessions I could have possibly given. Like if somebody in a deathbed.
Yeah, at this point, he was convinced, you know, there's a big possibility that this is it for him.
Yeah.
And he was just trying to get everything off his chest.
And you know though that when people say a life flash before your eyes, like that's a real thing. Like like everything that happened to me, like summarized into one little packet. And I just started rattling off everything that I held inside, you know. And as you would have mentioned, a man could be like, yes, a surgeon, a man could be like, hey, pull yourself together, you know, that kind of thing. But or what is it doing? Or even after the fact, like make a big joke out of it. But no, that wasn't the case.
Take it serious.
And this is the byproduct of, once again, a healthy, masculine friendship. Because I don't want to bash females or anyone else in general, but I feel like if they were female in that situation, they would have been much more emotional about it.
Yeah, and that's
which
what
is not what I need at the time.
Panicking
You know,
and,
I wouldn't need that. Oh my god, this, that,
Just
that.
want some calm now, man. Peace.
You know, and it so happened that this man was here at that time, you know, and that is the low point he mentioned because I would have confessed all the lows I would have had, and this is probably a separate story, but it actually felt good seeing it,
Getting it off your
like
chest.
getting it off
Yeah.
your chest.
Yeah.
You know, and even through that, it's like you realize that, let me say, I didn't have a proper friendship with him or anybody else who I could do this to. That could have been more devastating, and not just in that situation, in any situation, not having a friendship below the surface level where you could talk about these things and bring it out. It's not a good place to be in, you know. And the difficulty is, it's not, once again, something that you could just go out and say, you know what, this week I'm gonna make a serious friend. It's just something that implicitly
yeah,
happens.
That'll happen, yeah.
Because when I met you the first time, I didn't tell myself, all right, me and this man going to be friends. It has just implicitly happened, and that's I would say that's a disadvantage and a difficulty in friendships.
Because it was a disadvantage because it could take longer than you need, right? And there'll be advantages because it'll just happen organically, you know.
Yeah. As it
Force
should,
it,
as
so,
it should.
yeah.
Well, on the other side, I've had an experience, where my girlfriend and I at the time, we went on a little hike. It was just supposed to be a little hike. We ended up getting lost in the bush and thing. I'll probably share that story on a different
I
thing.
hear that story.
But there was a point in that whole thing, like closer to the beginning of the whole ordeal, where I was like, I gonna die here. I really thought this is it for me.
Shit.
And no offense to her, but the space we were in terms of the relationship at that point in time, I would have preferred to have Harold
Wasn't
there.
with it, yeah.
I would have preferred to have Harold
Right.
there, you know? Because it just, for me to say some of the stuff I wanted to say, I spent that whole thing in silence, just thinking in my head, this is gonna be it for me here. Because when I actually did say, boom, again, the emotional response is what she gave, and that's not what I wanted, no way. So I've seen both sides of it, and so I know the benefit of having a person like that who understands without you having to explain this is what's going on. Because I don't think he would be able to fully explain in terms of where he was at that point in time. You know? So that's the benefit.
That's real cool.
And it all boils down to, and not necessarily once again, because not everybody have the luxury, I would say, to have friends like this. But at the bare minimum, you should have a brethren you should be able to call upon if you want to talk about something or run something by. At the bare minimum, you need that, because a lot of people talk about, struggling with different things, but somehow just having someone to talk to on a deep level does help in some way, even if it doesn't tangibly contribute to what you're suffering with. It does still help. Like with OG, he say prior to being with me and being with us, he never had that mindset of always finding a way. But by virtue of having access to this type of friendship, now he have a better mindset out of him. They always find a way mindset.
That's true.
So having someone to be able to, a brethren, to be able to call up and to talk to was very, very important.
Yeah, and then some things are just a lot easier to tell a man, as a man to a man, because it would be very difficult on a whole to just tell your parents, Like, let me say you really feel like you have a porn addiction.
How are you telling your father that if you have a real good relationship with your father, you might.
Yeah, if you have a good relationship with both of your parents, I feel like it'd be a lot easier to tell your
My
father.
mother not hearing that from
But
me.
excluding that, it would be a lot more difficult to go and tell that to a girl. Just because implicitly in your mind, you're just telling yourself there's a lot of judgment going to come from there. As opposed to telling a man who, more than likely, he has some experience with this.
Probably when going through this, it probably have outliers when it comes to the girls, but you're not going to find that.
Right, but just your mindset in approaching it, you'd probably be a bit more comfortable telling a man. Similarly, like if, you're having like girl issues, obviously if you want advice on certain girls, you might approach certain girls in your life, in terms of how to appeal to them better.
Yeah.
But just coming to tell a man, boy, XYZ about this girl, you feel a little bit more comfortable, at least for me, with your brethren to explain this is what's going on.
That's true.
Yeah. So yeah, there's benefit in it as we get ready to wrap up. I guess a good question to kind of go home with is in terms of the male role models in your life, One, it could be more than one, but like who is that guy or those guys that you look up to? Because I honestly believe it's super duper beneficial to have men that you look up to, whether you have access to them or not. And by that I mean they could be, a celebrity, or they could be somebody that wrote a book, or they could even be from a movie. If Iron Man is your role model, Iron Man is your role model.
Fair enough.
I don't get it wrong.
Right.
I don't get it wrong. Or it could be somebody could be a father, could be a teacher, But who are some of your guys' male role models?
You in the line, bro? 'Cause-
Well, he didn't start.
Okay.
Coming down with
then.
you.
All right. Main role model in my life, my brother, Emeka. He's my main role model because, throughout my life, at my lowest points, like I could point out a lot of times where I was just low. And he always knew what to say, like always knew the best thing to tell me. And he's obviously not the ideal human. Everybody makes mistakes and stuff like that, and, but he has this weird wisdom. I don't know where he gets it from, right? Where he just gives amazing advice, right? Second role model, I'd like to call celebrities role models, but since you said any male figure, right? J. Cole is somebody I like to, Cole Will. Like,
Come on.
somebody I like to, more like take example from in terms of like his humbleness and humility. Like, that's something which is the same thing.
Humbleness and humility? The same thing in two different flavors?
I don't know why I keep doing that. But yeah, his humility is something to really like admire, dog. Like, this man is a millionaire, right? And he just be riding through New York City with a bike, right? He don't no fancy car, nothing like that. Real talent to me. Another person that recently I've started taking like interest in terms of like just receiving examples. Will Smith, right? I don't know if for those who've been following Will Smith, right?
We had to talk about Will Smith.
Will Smith.
We had to talk about Will Smith, but that's a different episode.
Listen, this man, if you've been following this man, dog, right, from since the entanglement till now, that man, listen, if you not looking up to Will Smith and seeing how Will Smith living his life, dog, like, you had to respect it, dog. Like, the man is amazing,
Fully
dog.
agree.
He's amazing, dog. Like, I'm going to buy his book.
As you should.
Fair enough.
Right? And even more than that, just look how vulnerable he is now, by like, about his family, about his life, and like, that just real inspirational now, but like, Will Smith is the guy, So, man, those are the three people on my list.
Boom, bang.
Tristan, well, for me, it's pretty much seasonal, I would say, because different stages in my life have different ones. For a while, it was Wiz.
Ben Carson.
Still kind of is.
Wiz.
I don't think Oji know this story. A lot of people don't know this story, but for a long while, it was him, and that's probably a story for next time, too.
Yeah.
Why it was him and why on such an extensive level. Ben Carson, as Messiah would have mentioned, if you ever get a chance to read Gifted Hands, you should read it.
I have the copy that you gave me.
Yes, I've read that book in excess of 10 times, and there's a reason why he was. And the thing is, he probably didn't even know the impact that his book and his life had on me, and he out here living his life. But those were different phases, and then I had guys who would go to my high school who got scholarships and went abroad and made legacies abroad. They would have been my role models at that time. So, so you get the point. But right now, if you guys had to guess.
Easy guess.
Oh, come on, we know.
Easy guess.
We know.
Yeah, so, my role model right now is Elon Musk.
Elon Musk.
This man, every 10 minutes, Elon Musk quote come out of this man's mouth.
Yeah,
Elon Musk, yo.
I wouldn't go into why, but
I understand why.
it's the same pattern as the ones
Yeah.
before. It's just a seasonal thing, and it so happened that this is the season right now where
Musk
he
is
is.
the man,
Yeah, he's the main role model for me.
Okay. My role models. J. Cole is one of mine. Yes, for humility, but also like when you look into the celebrity spaces, a lot of celebrities are associated with trauma and thing. And I just admire the way he's able to separate the two. So much so to be able to say, he feel like he's gonna retire from rapping. And again, like to be able to be caught up in the hype and then pull back yourself, I admire that, for sure. Another big role model of mine is my father. Growing up, we didn't have the best relationship. Not to say he's a bad father, but it's just in terms of being emotionally available. And I've always been, I think, craving emotion on a slightly higher level than the average guy. He wouldn't have been available, but like, he has made a lot of attempts to be a better guy in those regards, and I admire that. And then the way that he would just do what had to get done to make sure that we have what we have, because his, in terms of him growing up, he would not have had access to a lot of things. And he kind of purposed it in himself to say, yo, he not gonna repeat that same thing for his children, and he did what he had to do,
I have a nice perspective on that, like, because your father's song is similar to mine.
Yeah.
Right. I think when fathers like that were not really emotionally available to the children, might be because
No, they think that expressing their love is shown in a different way.
And it might be because they are so focused on providing, like their emotional.
Yeah.
What's the what I'm looking for? Every bit of emotion they have
Yeah.
is pushed towards
Right. So at that
providing.
point,
To
their
the point
love
where-
language then
Yeah.
would be, gifts or acts of service.
Not gifts, but like it's more like they're allocating this emotional energy to all of this, so much so that they don't have anything left to give to you, right? Because they allocating everything they have to providing for you and making sure you have what they have, because they didn't have, right? So they want to make sure you have, right? And that might be, for example, your father my father used to work 12-hour shifts, right? And I might have problems, probably going through something. I can't go to him because he come home, he tired, right? He had to sleep, because he had to wake up in the morning to go to work again.
Yeah.
That kind of thing now, but so it's like, it's a situational thing, like, because let me say, if let's say he didn't have to work 12-hour shifts and we was living comfortable and, we didn't have to hustle to get what we had to get, probably would have been emotionally available.
Probably.
Right? Probably, but that wasn't the case. So.
But yeah. And my last role model is Harold. Because in a lot of ways, just looking at the way he continues to kind of strive forward, and I guess because of the level I know him at, it's hard to not admire the stuff that he is doing. And
That's true.
Yeah. So it's like, even that thing he was saying earlier in terms of the goals thing and his view on it shifting, which again is probably another conversation for another time. But the act of thinking about a thought that you previously had and coming to a different conclusion than the one you had before, just that whole process, I admire that. So to take, this is my opinion on this thing, I've thought about it, and I've changed my opinion. Right? Because they have people who, simply because this is what they've believed, they will have to hold on to it for the rest of their life. No. But somebody who's willing to accept change, I admire that. And then he reminds me that the world is limitless. Like how you were saying, OG, that I might seem like the person who would be more willing to. I actually see it the other way around. Most often, when we really free to do whatever, he is the person who will do whatever. And I am the person who might think, maybe that might not fully be possible or whatever. And he would just have to stamp me back to reality, which sounds weird to say. The reality that, no, anything is possible. The world is limitless. And if we want to end up in great
Space.
kills, we could end up in great kills. And if he want to be in space, he will be in space before he dies. He told me that.
Nice.
And I know it will happen because everything he's told me that he will do
Very much happened.
has already happened. So,
Yeah, and that's why we had the whole mindset change on goals, But to put it short, since we mentioned it so much,
I want to hear it now. Like,
in short, it's basically like, yes, I used to set goals, but my thing is now it's good to have goals, but I realize setting goals and then you achieve the goal and it's like, then what? But it's more or less the process.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say having goals, but knowing, having milestones.
Yeah.
milestones. Yeah.
Or having an idea of where you want to be is it's a much better way to go because then you enjoy the process.
True.
Yeah, like for me the other day, I tell them I want to go for a run. And we pick a spot and that's where I was going to go and run to. And I realized, like halfway through the run, I realized, you know, when I get to the end of this run, that's not gonna be the biggest deal of this run for me. It's the process of getting there and coming back now, boy.
And the gains from the process.
That's what you call living in the moment.
And that's exactly it. So you
That's
don't
what you call
wanna
it,
set
yes.
a goal and your focus is the goal.
And you would forget everything that
Yeah,
comes.
you wanna enjoy the process because after you achieve the goal, that's like a minuscule part of the enjoyment. The process is where it's at.
That's true.
So
Yes, and if you guys, if anyone, any of the viewers think about anything you have accomplished, right? If you look at it, when you accomplish it, is like there's that moment of chemical releases, but
Yeah.
then it's like,
yeah, it's very fleeting.
now
It's
what?
Yeah.
But if you look at the journey, then because
It's
it's
a
like,
much longer process. Yeah.
let me use a common example. We start school. I mean, the goal is, let me say the goal is to graduate, right? The cliche goal is to graduate. After you graduate, you're like, and then what? But if you look back at the 4 years, it'd be like, damn,
Yeah.
all of this in comparison to the goal of having the certificate. It's pretty obvious which one would outweigh the next. You
Yeah,
know?
yeah.
I know I realized too, when you do things like that, right? Let me say you set the goal to graduate, right? And instead of thinking about, I just had to graduate, you think about, okay, let me just live every day and do what I do every day, right? And appreciate the journey. You realize that you'll get to the end, and when you realize, like, oh shit, I'm here. Like, I reached, like, oh, damn, cool. You know, and you're not going to feel drained. You're going to feel like, oh, well, let's just continue. You know, I don't know where we're going from here, but I know how to take this step, right? So I'm going to take this step. And it's the same, you know, philosophy. It's like a milestone, really.
Boom bang.
So if we had to get the takeaways from this as we're wrapping up, what would they be?
Well, I feel like a big takeaway is men, tell the men around you you love them more often. You know, it will be weird at first, but the idea of cultivating spaces where men are encouraged to be vulnerable emotionally will just be a healthier space for the world at large. So that's a big one for me. And then also being mindful of the people around you. You know, the environment you cultivate based on the men, but just the people, but specifically the men that you surround yourself with, because it will influence you and where you end up in life.
That's true.
Yeah, that covers it for me. OG, anything?
I don't have nothing, though. Thanks for tuning into the little Manscaping podcast.
All right. OG, I love you. Messiah, I love you.
Ariel, I love you too.
Likewise, I love you, though. Both of you.
Context.
I'm both of you.
I mean, it's hard. It's hard.
Yeah, but
It's the other guy you
easier
said
to-
that, but I know I'll be like, you know?
I love you, dog.
See, even when he tell me that, I still feel like he laughing at it, though.
No, are you serious?
OG,
I just
OG.
never know when all this serious.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in to the Manscaping. If it's a like, if it's a comment, if it's a share, do what you had to do to continue to be a part of the conversation. And be sure to check out King Grigio on Instagram if you haven't yet. Follow Harold too to find out more about Elon Musk. Follow me for whatever reason and subscribe. We hit 500 subscribers with the last video, so that's a little milestone.
Bang, bang.
I'll probably do a video for that.
That's our goal.
No promises. But the process of getting to there was enjoyable.
Was exactly.
Aye,
exactly,
boom.
you know?
Wait, Harold, what's one song you think everybody should listen to?
Rooftops.
Rooftops by Wiz Khalifa.
By Wiz Khalifa.
Boom bang.